Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mysteries Unknown. I'm really excited about tonight's episode. I got a great podcast for you guys tonight. A really good friend of mine I've known for a long time has a really cool UFO story. I've not heard it yet, so we're going to hear it both for the first time with you guys and with him. I've known James for a really long time, super amazing guy, but I've never heard this story. So, James, welcome to the podcast.
What's up? Glad to be on, man. Thanks for having me. So, I am James Hargrave. Me and Josh go way back. I've known him for many years, and I've been watching some of these episodes. I love the Bigfoot stories that have been on, a lot of stuff he's done, and we started to talk about UFOs, and he's like, "Hey man, do you have any stories of UFOs?" I was like, "Yeah, actually I have one of my childhood." He's like, "No way, man, I gotta have you on." So I was like, "Okay." So this goes all the way back to when I was 10 years old. I am from Arkansas, and this is where that happened. And I was up on Crow Mountain in Arkansas, and I was 10 years old, and me and my brothers, we used to have sleepovers outside a lot on the trampoline. And we put the tent up on the trampoline out back, and got our sleeping bags and stuff, and went out there, got candles, put it on the trampoline. Not really the smartest thing to do, candles on the trampoline, but just being kids out there, all the snacks that we could take out there, sleeping bags. We would spend the night, many nights out there. This was a different night. Something crazy was about to happen to me that I would remember forever. So we eat our snacks, hang out, tell stories. And my brother plays around. It's funny because my brother actually joked with my little brother about Bigfoot all the time. And he was scared to death of Bigfoot. So he'd be like, "Bigfoot's in the woods, Jordan." Jordan would run in the house, and we would kind of laugh. It's not the nicest thing, but we would always joke about Bigfoot. But it wasn't going to be Bigfoot I saw that night. So we went to sleep, and it's probably 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm awakened by lights. Bright lights. I'm talking about, Josh, the lights were so bright it looked like daytime, so I thought it was the morning. It was like the sun came up. Okay, so Jordan and Daniel, it didn't wake them up, it woke me up. I get out of the tent from the trampoline and crawl off of the trampoline on the side of the hill there where we were, and I look up in the sky and I see these big round lights, and I mean huge lights there's probably, I would say, between 6 to 7 bright lights. They're all different colors. Green, these are the colors I remember: green, yellow, blue, green, yellow, blue, and maybe like a purpley color. And they were just bright, just in a big line, just sitting there in the sky. And I was I was frozen in fear. Okay, I was just standing there with these lights coming down on me, and I thought, I've got to be dreaming. This is a dream. Like, this is not real. So I run inside, and I wake my mom up. I'm like, "Mom," and Jordan and Daniel, my brothers, are still on the trampoline. And I go tell my mom, I wake her up. I'm like, "Hey, there's lights in the sky. You got to come look. There's light." She's like, "Oh, you're dreaming. You had a bad dream." I said, "No, it's the whole yard is lit up with these lights." And I was telling her the colors. I was like, purple and green and yellow, and they're these big bright balls of light. And she said, "Oh, you were dreaming. Don't worry about it. Go back out." Or actually, she said, "Stay inside and just get your brothers, bring them inside." So I go out there. They're gone. And like, my mom walks out there with me. They're gone. We get Jordan and Daniel, bring them in, and we all sleep inside. So the story's not over, right? This happened. I'm 38. I was 10 at the time. So what is that? 28 years ago. This is a very recent thing that I shared with my mom. I never have shared this with anyone because it's not something you just put out there for everybody to hear. People think you're crazy. And I got to the point, I was like, man, people think I'm crazy, whatever. This happened. So I tell my mom about it recently. Within the last 2 months, I was at my mom's house telling her about this story. And she said, James, when you told me about those lights, this will give you chills, Josh. When you told me about those lights many years ago, I didn't want to scare you because I had already seen them many times on the mountain. She said, I've already seen those lights and I didn't want to scare you. But she said, I saw those all the time out there. She said, I would be out there at night and I would see them. And yeah, and she said there was other people. Now this was probably 1995, 1996. She said that she was not the only one, that there was other people she knew that would see those lights as well.
I mean, as a kid, 10 years old, I can imagine that was like very traumatizing, right? Like, I'm sure that was. What do you think it was?
You know, for the longest time, I thought, well, maybe I was just dreaming. You know, maybe I was just freaked out and it was a dream. And then, but it's one of those things where you're like, when you're dreaming, you know it's a dream. This was so real. Even at 10, you know it's real and what's a dream. And this was like, I could feel the air around me. I could smell stuff. I was awake. It didn't make sense for it to be a dream. And like, I'll have flashbacks of this sometimes and it'll be like, oh, that was real. So what it is, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, it's unexplainable, you know? I wish I knew what it was. I still keep my eyes to the skies and like look and like wonder if they're ever going to come back, you know? Cause it's like, it was crazy, you know? And then when my mom said that, in the last couple months, she was like, no, I had seen it already. I had already seen those lights many times. I was like, and then I told my brothers about it. And at first, my older brother, he's like, I don't remember that. He's like, oh, wow, dude. He said, no. He's like, I remember that vividly. He's like, that did happen. And then Jordan was like, I think I kind of remember lights too. And I'm like, so it kind of started coming back to them. And I think sometimes when you experience kind of a traumatic thing like that, you try to forget or you try to kind of push it to the back of your memory. And I guess that's something I had done to kind of cope with dealing with that, because it was scary. I mean, it was, especially as a kid. As I've grown up, I've kind of learned to not be afraid of things like that, because it didn't hurt me. I didn't get abducted. It wasn't anything like that. It was lights in the sky. But it's still weird. It's still like, what was it?
You know, like you said, it's an unknown mystery. Like, that's the reason I started this whole podcast, because to give people a platform to share things that maybe we can't explain. But dude, that is a really crazy experience, man. I appreciate you sharing that with us and the audience, man. I know that that can be traumatizing. To me, it's kind of crazy how your brain will do that. It will shut off things, or you'll forget things and years later remember. But it's just a coping mechanism, man. It's how we cope. But that was a really cool story, man. I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely.
Guys, if you have a story, something you want to share, you want to come on the podcast, we'd love to have you on. We'd love for you to just give you a safe platform to share your stories, whether it's Bigfoot, UFO, or anything that's kind of an unexplained mystery. Reach out to us at video@JSCreativeAR, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.